Behind the Scene with David Bedein, April 7th, 2020, communicating to you from Israel, just outside of Jerusalem. Here we are isolated in our homes, and it's because of the coronavirus disease. The only way to lick the disease is for people to stay in their own homes and not contact one another on a personal basis. It's come to my attention that people in Sweden may not know the basics of what it takes to protect all of ourselves. It's also come to my attention that some people say, oh, it's only the old people who are going to pass away. Well, we're seeing in Israel at the time of this telecast of the people who have passed away, the 60 who have passed away, half of them older people, half of them not older people. There are certain basic issues, basic rules, basic warnings that people need to know about in order to stay alive in this period of time, in order to lick the disease. First of all, as much as possible, don't leave your homes, because the more you come in contact with people, the more you're likely to be a carrier of the disease without even realizing it. You have to worry about your own survival. You have to isolate yourself as much as possible. Over here in Israel, the government is covering as much as possible the costs of losing work and encouraging employers to encourage people as much as possible to do work at home. This is going to be a strain on the economy, but that's the way it is. There's many basics that needs to be followed. First of all, the issue of people saying, well, we'll just go out and we won't interact too much. It has to be understood that any interaction can cause the disease to be to increase more than you can ever expect, because as from what I understand, from what has been explained, that the disease is carried through cold saliva. If you sneeze, it can carry anywhere and infect people, and by touching surfaces, by touching anything that you don't know who's touched the surface before. It could be on a bus, it could be in an elevator, it could be anywhere. You have to now get into the custom of washing your hands as much as possible every time you come in and come out of your house. Try not to go out of your house too much, but even if you go out a little bit, make sure you wash your hands and your face as much as possible. Very important to wear a mask if you go outside. If you go outside, you have to have a face mask as much as possible within the 20-meter distance of your home. It has to be understood that you have to, as I mentioned before, staying isolated, and also there's certain things to make sure that extra precautions. I haven't seen my 10 little grandchildren in 3 weeks, including the one who just had a brit milah, a circumcision, 2.5 weeks ago. I haven't seen any of my 10 children, grandchildren, because they are carriers. Children are carriers of the disease. They may not be affected by the disease, by the disease, but they are carriers without even realizing it. Very important to stay away from little kids. Very important. And when you do get home, one of the very easy prescriptions is to make sure you drink a lot of tea with lemon. Obviously, hot water with lemon. Not necessarily tea, with hot water with lemon, and that takes away some of the virus potentials. You have to be careful of touching, of being proximate to anyone or to anything. Understand that anything that has been touched can carry. These are basic issues that people need to understand. The issue of the coronavirus means that you need to know that it is very contagious, more contagious than anyone realizes. People say, "Oh, more people have died of the flu." That's correct. More people have died of the flu, but not in the intensity, and not in the amounts of people who have in the last. I'm speaking to you right now after 5,000 people have died in the period of a week in New York City. This is something which is unprecedented, but that's what's happened. So these are issues that need to be taken very seriously. I'm surprised that the government in Sweden hasn't made and other countries hasn't made rules that we've made here in Israel. For example, here in Israel, we have a lockdown on just about all major cities. If you're caught walking for other than medicinal purposes, or you walk a dog or something like that, if you're caught walking outside taking a walk, you can be fined, and it's a felony if you happen to have the disease to get onto a bus. An entire bus was stopped yesterday on the main Jerusalem Tel Aviv road and emptied out because there was one man on the bus with the disease, and he could have affected the entire bus. And he was warned by his wife not to take the bus, and she warned the bus company that was getting on the bus that they should ask him to get off. Well, the police stopped him and got him off, and now he's going to be charged with a felony for doing that. The government should be making rules and also enforcing them in terms of public contact. And by the way, if you come through, I see this from what I see in the pictures in New York, what we see in pictures in Jerusalem, downtown Jerusalem, which is where my office is. They're basically empty of all the coffee shops. If you see coffee shops functioning right now, that's a crime against humanity. That's something that you have to raise your voices against. This is something very serious, something which you need to address right away. Very, very important. Now, in terms of how things are going here with all the different populations, we have different populations behaving in different ways. There was an issue with some of the Orthodox people who did not follow things on the internet, who did not know the seriousness of what was going on. Well, that seems to have been taken care of, and we're having less problems in the traditional Orthodox sector. On the other hand, the foreign workers who are here in Israel have been violating they're violating the rules pretty much, and the issue of law enforcement amongst the foreign workers, the migrant workers, is something which will be reinforced in the next few days. In terms of what's happening in the Palestinian Arab sector and the Palestinian Authority, there have been 56 cases that have been diagnosed in the Palestinian Authority of people with the disease, and Israel has organized massive shipments of medicines and test kits in order to help the Palestinian Authority. At the same time, the PA has recruited funds from the Qatar government and also from the World Bank. And as a matter of fact, they have a overflow of medicines. The question, we have our agency, the Israel Resource News Agency, working with the Center for Near East Policy Research and a group of Palestinian Arab investigators. Over the years, we've investigated the disappearance of medical supplies and the thievery of medical supplies. We hope that doesn't happen here. So that's what's happening here in terms of the situation. And even though this is going on, in the way that there's a decision by the Israeli government to be as helpful as possible to the Palestinian Authority, all of the media outlets of the Palestinian Authority are now accusing Israel of actually fomenting and spreading the disease. We're going to be coming out with a report next week in which we're going to document exactly how these accusations, how these allegations are being promoted, it was a headline in the one of the major Palestinian newspapers today. Israel acquires bacterial products in order to spread the disease and kill Arabs, kill Palestinian Arabs. It's really hard to believe, but that was the headline in the official news outlet of the Palestinian Authority. So this is what we're up against: an entity that, in a sense, bites the hand that feeds them, and that's really a shame. So this is what I'd like to report to you today. Again, take it very seriously. Read up about the disease, understand how serious it is and how it can affect everyone. And basically, the way in which the disease has been stopped in different places in Israel, but also different places in the world, is when communities isolate themselves, isolate people who have been treated, and enforce, even using police and army to enforce these rules. You see a reduction of casualties, reduction of deaths, and with the blessing of Passover, which this year will be the entire country of Israel, the higher state of Israel, during the Seder night, the night when the Jews recount the freedom, the Jewish freedom. This is 3,300 years exactly since the Exodus of Egypt. The entire state of Israel will be closed, will be under lockout, and that's something unusual, never happened before. But by reducing social contact, that's how lives will be saved. So that's the recommendation to the people of Sweden. Put pressure on your government and any other governments of people who are watching this program to make sure that social contact is reduced, if not eliminated completely, so that we can have a healthy Passover, a healthy Easter, which are about to come upon us. And there's no reason for people not to take every special precaution. If I wasn't at my house right now, if I was outside, I would have a mask. I would have gloves. Very important to wear gloves. And when you go to another point, when you go to the supermarket, you take the vegetables out of the bag, wash them when you come home before you consume them. Very, very important. Wherever you go, if you touch a surface, make sure your hands are washed. It's almost a compulsive washing of hands right now. It's understandable that if you used to kissing people when you meet them, this is not a time to do that. So again, let's stay healthy and stay wise and stay aware of what's going on. This is David Bedein, Behind the Scene with David Bedein. Our website, IsraelBehindTheNews.com, carries a lot of content. It gives you insight for what makes Israel tick, and Israeli society tick. I'm approaching 50 years in Israel, and I'm gaining quite a perspective. Behind the Scene with David Bedein, April 7th, 2020. Thank you.